Hello everyone! Today we are doing another green screen, but for video 10 today we are going to focus on the greasers of the book The Outsiders. So I'm very excited. We have our group of greasers right here. So there are 7 of them in total, and some of you have expressed some frustration with trying to keep all of the characters in your head, and I have that same difficulty, and I had shown you that you can make a little visual reminder for yourself to write down each character and write a little description and some of their actions as you go through the story. So this video is to help just get a picture in your head. These images are from the movie, and so just keep in mind that not all of the images of the characters in the movie are accurate to the book, and you'll see that with some characters immediately. So we're going to start with the Curtis family and our main character, the narrator, Ponyboy Curtis. And as you are reading, think of the symbolism in some of these names, especially with the Curtis family. And he is the youngest member of the Greasers. He is just 14 years old, and he is very observant of not just the Greasers and their personalities and their motivations, but also the rivalry between the Greasers and the Socs, and seeing the difference in social classes. The thing with Ponyboy is that he also makes literary references, so keep an eye out for that throughout the book, and think about what is S.E. Hinton saying by having him be this intelligent, literary type of character who is also a greaser. So Soda Pop Curtis, he is the middle brother of the family, and he is seen as the happy-go-lucky one, the one with movie star handsome qualities, and Ponyboy looks up to him, has great admiration. He thinks of him as someone who is drunk on life because they are just seem optimistic with no problems in the world. They even sleep together, Soda Pop and Ponyboy, and Ponyboy kind of uses Soda Pop as a security blanket for after their parents' death. However, Ponyboy, because he has this admiration for Soda Pop, fails to see the problems that Soda Pop has. Next is Daryl Curtis, or known as Derry, and he is the oldest Curtis brother. He is 20 years old, and he had everything going for him: football star, intelligent, had his future ahead of him, and when their parents died in a car crash, he became the guardian of his 2 younger brothers. And so he is seen as the leader of the Greasers, and all of the boys look up to him, and some even call him Superman. So he is seen as the responsible one. He's working 2 jobs to help support him and his 2 brothers. So some of the characters who are greasers but not part of the Curtis family, of course we have Johnny Cade, who is the second youngest at 16, and he comes from an abusive home, and he sees the greasers as his family, and the greasers feel like they need to protect him, and sometimes they use kind of Johnny's circumstances, things that happen to him, as their justification for being angry, their hatred of the Socs, or for them to do some of their violent actions. So Johnny is especially protected by Dallas Winston, and also known as Dally. And he, in the book, was described as having like almost white hair and this elfish look to him and icy blue eyes, which is very different, as you can see from the image here. But he protects Johnny like his big brother, even though he's kind of, the toughest hood who was part of the gangs in New York, but he has like this big brother quality with Johnny because Dally was also from an abusive home. So there is that kinship between them. Also, besides Johnny and Dally, we have Steve Randall, who works at the gas station with Soda Pop, and they are friends. And Steve Randall is kind of arrogant and tall and lean, and he doesn't like Ponyboy because he feels like Ponyboy is just like his friend Soda Pop's younger brother, just tagging along. And so he is part of the Greasers as well. And then finally, we have Two-Bit Matthews, who's sort of the joker of the group, and he is the one who, is always making wisecracks. He's flirting with Marcia, who is part of the Socias, and he, does more, like, less violent crimes, like shoplifting and kind of, pranks and sort of things like that, but still criminal behavior. So this it rounds out all of the Greaser characters. And I thought, another kind of cool thing that people do is they have these t-shirts, and I wanted to show this to you because all 7 of the names are on the shirt in case you forget your 7 Greasers. So that's something, I guess, that you can think of if you're having trouble remembering the characters. So the questions that I would like you to think about as you're reading the story, and we are going to talk about these in our office hours this week. First of all, once again, I've asked you this before, is how has Ponyboy changed so far from where you're at in the story? Because he does make some significant changes based on some of the main events of the story. Also, not just Ponyboy, but how does every Greaser really cope with the situation, and even some of the Socias? How do these characters cope? What are their coping skills? What do they do when things get rough? How do they react in challenging situations? The third question is, how does each boy's personality and actions go with their stereotype, but also against their stereotype? So if you're unsure of what stereotype is, it's kind of the generalization that people make when they see, like for Greasers, they think that, they're poor, uneducated criminals. So are there things that individual Greasers do to kind of keep that stereotype going? And what are some of the things they do that go against that? And finally, Johnny. Johnny is such an important character to the book, and his actions affect the entire story. So think of every single time that you've read so far, how his actions affect the plot and how they affect other characters in these situations. I hope you're enjoying the book, and I look forward to talking to you about it this week. And I will see you for video 11 in just a couple of days. Bye!